I will not be lost. I will hold to the cross.
The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why they actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations, that's foreign and foreign.
All right, let me gather myself here. Good morning, and welcome back to the Blueprint Podcast. I was having a little moment here. I'm gonna try to hold myself together as I was looking at the beginning of the Blueprint and the tribute to many people know as James E. Jones. Nobody knew what the E stood for, but now we know it's James Edward Jones, and I used to call him James Earl Jones. I mean, he would never give up who that middle name was. So
I like that, James.
And then he became affectionately known as, some people would say, James Jones. And you was like, James Jones? No, James Jimmy Jones. I mean, the man, the myth, the legend. We're gonna hopefully have some conversation. Most of the people who I said I wanted to pop on and just pop on for a few minutes. I mean, and talk about Jimmy, Mr. Jones. As many people know him as Mr. Jones. We all face challenges when it comes to technology, right? And but we get around it. We're gonna do our best this morning to pay tribute to Jimmy Jones, the man, the myth, the legend. So before I get going. Let me say this. I'm gonna get some energy here. Is that, I mean, how many of you guys are loving? I mean, I am truly loving March Madness.
My gosh, it's mad, isn't it?
It is crazy, And I made up in my mind when I heard the thing come across the screen. We're about to do the brackets. Who's going to be in the NCAA, and people started texting me, who's going to win this thing? Who's your bracket? I was like, nah. I like I said last time, I've only done the bracket one time, and that was last year. And in the first day, my bracket was broken. So I was like,
but it was broken by a Mount Vernon guy.
Yeah, it was broken by my running guy, so I was happy about that. Dimitri, and he was with Fairleigh Dickinson, and Fairleigh Dickinson knocked off the number one team, Purdue, last year in the first round, 1 against 16. So my bracket was okay. My bracket was not broke with that game.
Oh, you already chose that one.
Yeah, I put them down just for Dimitri, for Meach. I put down. Yeah, it was broken someplace else. I mean, I chose that one,
But they said there was only one
check this out. I did 2 brackets.
But they said that there was only one perfect bracket last year. And that person had to choose them too.
Yeah. Or they did 12 or 20 brackets.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you could just keep doing brackets over and over again until you hopefully get the right one. But yeah, I did. And so this year I vowed, I'm like, I am not doing a bracket this year, because this is going to just be busted up, right? I'm looking forward to seeing who that one person is that made the perfect bracket.
And I know we're not really here to talk about like so much with the March Madness, but yet we are, right? What I found with this year's men more so than with the women is the parity. There's such a closeness that it's really hard to separate them. But one of the things that made this happen is something that didn't happen years ago. You're getting players that are 4 years, 5 years playing, right? And so they're coming in the portal, they're transferring, but they have a knowledge, a little bit more knowledge of the game.
Experience.
Yeah, and so it's making it really tough, to navigate these victories. Now UConn, they're a different team.
Well, UConn does not, on the men's side, does not have a lot of one and dones. When you look at it,
and they got Bobby Hurley.
yeah, they got Coach Hurley. He's really good. I mean, Coach Hurley is really good.
He's got a
combination.
He's got pedigree.
Yeah, he's got a combination. When you go back in his history with his father being a legend as a coach.
Oh yes.
Yeah, when you
his father and I were honored together. Remember that when they did the Gatorade shoot?
Yes.
Yeah, I was like honored as the coach, the Gatorade coach.
Took all them crazy.
I was
nice
the Gatorade
pictures.
Coach of the Year, and he was the Gatorade Coach of the Year.
Yeah, that's
that was kind of cool.
That was cool.
That's what I was coaching at.
and so it kind of it kind of coordinates with when we talk about Jimmy Jones. I mean, when you talk about we'll get into the legend as a basketball coach of Jimmy Jones. A little bit later. But I just wanted to bring that out. Welcome to March Madness. I know y'all mad right now. A lot of mad people out there.
And we can't do this without talking about the ladies, because the ladies are rocking it.
Oh, yeah, they balling out. And, I did. We always want to see the cream rise to the top. A lot of people like when those who are on the top lose. I mean, it makes for excitement. That's when your brackets are being broken, right? But it seems like, at least for me, a lot of the teams that I wanted to see starting to move into the Sweet 16 and hopefully the Elite 8.
Yes.
Or some of the teams that I wanted to see, or I thought would be there. This and the day is yet to come. I mean, the day and tomorrow, who gets to the Elite 8 is going to be crazy. We don't know. Because I thought for sure Notre Dame was going to be there in the Elite 8, and they're gone already. So, man.
For the ladies? For the ladies,
yeah. I was looking forward to. I would like watching them play. And I seen what's her name?
Cintron.
Well, of course, Cintron
played at Ursuline.
Yeah, and she's from Westchester, so she played at Ursuline, and the other young lady,
Hannah Hidalgo.
Hidalgo, yeah. And I got a chance. I got a chance to go with my daughter on recruiting. Went to a tournament down in the Gauchos, and she was playing. I love her energy. I just took a liking right away, man, watching her play with that kind of passion and energy. And then she just, sometimes you say freshmen that can't transcend into the next level, right? But she automatically took that same energy and passion and brought it right straight to as a freshman. Man, the freshmen are going crazy.
The freshmen. You know what that tells you? That the NCAA and the WNBA are in good hands.
Oh yeah,
right. Because there's there's something coming. It's the anticipation. Like this year's anticipation on the draft is going to just shake everything up. Like you got Caitlin Clark coming out. You got so many other really top notch players that are coming out this year. In the WNBA, Leah Edwards is coming out. Cameron Brink is coming out. So there's going to be some players coming out into the
It's going to be awesome. And let me say this this is just not really my opinion, but just some for clarity. Sometimes we don't like to compare, but sometimes you have to compare business practices or business development and growth over years. You have to compare it. Many would assume that the NBA just jumped out the box and they were great. No, the first 25 years of the NBA was a struggle. Right, they struggled to get contracts. They struggled to get people to come to games because it was great basketball and they were great players, but it just wasn't entertaining. It was entertaining to those who love basketball, but not necessarily entertaining to people who don't watch the game, right? Or little kids. So when you see now, back in the day, when the evolution of the dunk. When you started to dunk the ball in college, high school, all those kind of things, the excitement came into the game. So everybody was just looking for the dunk. Right now it's evolved. right? And here we are, well, 75 years later, and it's the 3-point shot along with the dunk, along with the fancy, like everybody wanted to go see the Harlem Globetrotters because it was entertaining.
Oh, yes.
That's another whole thought pattern when it comes to...
We should probably see if we get somebody from the Globetrotters on.
Yeah, I got a guy in my phone from the Globetrotters.
I think that would be like such a cool show.
Yeah.
So let's move on. We got a lot to talk.
We got a lot to talk about. But before we go, I want to again acknowledge that we are how would I say? We're celebrating.
I like that. It's a good word.
Right, we're celebrating Women's History Month.
Gotcha.
Right, we're celebrating Women's History Month, and I want to show this quick video for Women's History Month in honor of all women, and particularly today. I wanted to put together a collage of the women in my life. Right, it was so many of them with Aunt Joan, and just so many great women in my life. I mean, I probably would have had 100 pictures on the screen. I'm gonna have to do that one day. Just find everybody's picture and say we celebrating, the women in my life. My lovely wife right next to me, my mother, my aunts, on both sides, nieces, sister-in-laws. Man, we celebrate you guys. Check this quick video out before we continue.
All right.
Yeah, that's just a brief celebration. Yeah, and also my person my person of the week is Simone Biles. I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her. Man, the Olympics came up so fast. I'm looking forward to seeing these ladies who have been amazing, particularly in college this year. We're going to be competing in the Olympics this summer in Paris. I'm looking forward to. I mean, we got March Madness and basketball going crazy right now.
Yes.
And then it's going to end. Boom! It's going to end. It's going to go crazy. So, but anyway, and we're going to be moving parts right now. So, I'm looking forward to the Olympics, and I'm looking forward to seeing Simone Biles in the Olympics this summer. So, yeah, we got a bunch of pop-on guests, right? We want to start out right now.
Do you want to do your books? You have more than one, so let's just pop that in.
Yeah. Let me pop this up real quick. This is my book of the week, of course. Since we're going to be talking about Boys and Girls Club, Boys Club, all these different things, Mr. Jones, all the wonderful things that happen in the city of Mount Vernon, from the Boys and Girls Club to the NBA, Lowesmore Chronicles, Life on the Narrow Road. That's my book, right? You still can purchase it, on Amazon, Barnes Nobles. You can still purchase it. And also, my word of the week, you see that emblem there? That's the old Boys Club emblem, Boys Club of America emblem. And you see the torch. My word of the week is torch. When I first came into the Boys and Girls Club, right, that we were taught about that torch, that we were developing from boys to men, that someday all of us should pick up that torch. Right, to bring a great attitude, good citizenship, character, integrity, all those things we should bring to our community, right? And so I want to say, yeah, pick up that torch. We need more people to pick up that torch around morals, values, and ethics, and character, and integrity, and manners. Yeah. So pick up that torch. That's my word of the week. And then the affirmation is, Don't allow anyone to bring you back to a level that you have already surpassed.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, Gerald Hoover was acknowledging that on LinkedIn, and so I said, "Oh, that's there." Like you said, that's good. If you've already passed something, right? If you already accomplished something, don't turn around and go back. I mean, So, and then my book, my music of the week, right? Warren Sapp, and Mr. Jones' one of Mr. Jones' favorite songs.
Yes.
Right.
Never could have made it.
Never could have made it. Right. And you heard that when we started the show, and then I think this Matt Damon. Right. I just got a chance to see this past week. Arthur the King just came out. Great movie, man. Go check it out.
Sounds good.
Right. So I want my good friend Peter Genesi. Right. We're going to pop on Peter Genesi right now. Right. I know he's trying to work. I'm happy that he popped on.
Good morning, Loves.
Good morning, Peter.
You know that.
Hey, check this out. There's a picture there. I want to show. It's a black and white picture there. Okay. I think it's one of the only black and white pictures we have over there.
Well, you keep talking and I'll put it up.
And Peter, we want to welcome you. Peter and I, we grew up in the Northside Boys and Girls Club together, along with Mr. Jimmy Jones. That's Jimmy Jones right there. Along with Mr. Tuitt back in the day. Jimmy Jones, they were down at a regional conference for Boys Clubs of America.
Wow.
They was invited to it, and then there's another black and white picture there, baseball picture there, and there's Peter Genesi right there with the hat in front of him.
Yes, Peter.
Roy Bolin,
Right.
Jimmy Morrow.
Right.
I mean, Kirk Bolin, David Jones, Dave Bean.
Wow.
Jimmy Jones. I mean, yeah, we go way back.
Great.
Yeah. So, Pete, talk to us a little bit about your experience at the Boys Club.
Okay.
Now, Boys and Girls Club, and meeting, having the privilege to grow up around Mr. Jimmy Jones, James Jones.
Okay. Well, first of all, on your book was great. I bought one for everyone in my family.
Thanks.
All kinds of memories and just we had the greatest childhood.
Oh yes, it was awesome.
And a lot of that was because of James. And you and I both say, that he was one of the most important people in my life. And I know for sure he was in yours. And we owe a lot of that to the Boys Club, and just the way we grew up. And even when you were talking about the torch, I can remember they used to put us in the shop class downstairs, and we make a mold out of that and paint that. And that's a vivid memory, that torch. And you get your paintbrush out and paint it red, and we were so proud of that. And just all of that James instilled in us on how to be a man. That's if I could basically break it down to one thing, that's what it was. How to be a man and how to be respectful and just so many things, that the way he carried himself. And in going back to those days, we were young and impressionable, and just to see that, the way someone carried themselves. And you remember they had the Celtics back then. James was the Celtics. and we looked up to those guys like they were NBA players. They'd walk in the building with their, and back then no one had uniforms like that. No one had bags like that. They didn't, carry themselves like that, but these guys did. And it was like, wow, that's how you're supposed to be, and respectful. James was always the most respectful person in the world. He knew my dad from Mount Vernon. My dad's an original Mount Vernon guy. They actually went to the same high school. My father, a bit before James, but just the respect that those people had for each other was just amazing. And my dad knew he could, basically put me at the boys club, and I'd be good, and everything would be great. And it sure was the best
Yeah.
time of my life.
Yeah, and I was envious of you, Pete. Honestly, man, because you live right next door to the boys' club. I mean,
Yeah.
and we walk by, man. Pete knock on his door right next door to the boys and girls. Go knock on the door. Pete, you coming to the club?
Yeah.
And he was right next door.
Yeah. We couldn't wait. As soon as we got home from school, back to the club. Then home for dinner. 7:00, waiting by the door.
Yeah, nah. Them were powerful times. Let me tell you something. Here's a crazy story, right? I remember we used to play. We played all kinds of things in the gym, but we played hockey on running on regular sneakers, and we played hockey in the roller skates.
Yep.
And I remember you guys, you and Jimmy and all the guys said, "Man, you guys are good on skates, man." And man, you guys, we had a hockey team.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, had a hockey team at the boys club, and I remember you guys said, "Man, you guys are good on those skates. You ought to come and play with us, man. You ought to join the hockey team." So we for whatever the reason, we got on the bus with you guys, and you played outside. Right? And we was out there freezing. Them brothers was out there like, what is going on? And then some of the guys at that age, they had little teeth. You got their tooth knocked out or something like that, and they had the little filler ends and stuff. and we looked, is he taking out his teeth? Man, that was the last time you seen some brothers at a hockey game. Oh man!
But, I mean, I would imagine no one would ever think that the boys club had a hockey team, and that was something that we did everything in that gym. We played, you played hockey with us. We played basketball. I mean, I can remember the time Ray Williams, who was always there, wanted to. He was going to teach us an archery class.
Oh man!
First step was, okay, all you guys line up against the wall. And you know what was coming next. So, that's how we learned.
Yeah, we learned the art of ducking and running.
But I mean, like to be 65 years old and think of that and have and bring such a big smile to my face that's how we grew up, and Greg Thomas and all the guys.
And I was envious of Greg and Danny Thomas too, because they lived across the street from you. I mean,
yeah. We thought how far it was if it was a couple of blocks back then, because we didn't wander outside of, if we had to go to the store, we went to 4th Avenue.
Right. And I was envious of Ron Nimhart. He lived right next door to Greg, across the street from the Boys and Girls Club.
So many kids in such a small area that were all friends. It's just amazing. You go from 10th Avenue, 9th Avenue, 8th Avenue, right down the line, and there was 20 guys on each block.
Yeah. I mean, our club was so diverse. It was incredible. Jewish guys, Italians guys, black guys. I mean, it was just incredible. It was just incredible.
But the great part about that, Lowe's, is we never noticed.
Right.
I
remember Jimmy. It was a Jimmy or one of them. They was like, "Man, you gotta come see my sister." They wanted me to date their sister or something. I'm like, What's going on?
Well, Lowe's, you're such man. I would let you date my sister.
Not now, Pete. Not now.
Oh man.
And back then.
Yeah. And what's the name? That lived over there, because Patrice is my wife is Wayne and Gary's first cousin. Her dad and their mom were brothers and sisters.
Wayne Johnson, Gary Johnson, all of them. Yep. They lived right down the block. They lived on the corner of
right. So that's that's her first cousins.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they're like big brothers to me, actually.
Gary, Wayne was tough. Gary was like the sweetest guy. Just a gentle giant, and he was they were just great guys, man. They looked out for us. Just great memories, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I want to thank you for popping on. Who was that? Who was just on there? We just saw
It was Wayne.
Wayne was just up there. Wayne Johnson was just up there.
He lives way out west, so if he's watching, he's up real early in the morning. He might have just popped on and popped off.
Yeah, and then
Somebody said hello.
I sure will. Anthony.
Yeah.
Palmiato.
Yeah, Anthony Palmiato. Yeah. Yeah. I think Anthony was in the club too.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. Yeah. So, Pete, want to thank you, man, for popping on, man. I appreciate it, man.
Well,
we're gonna have to do this again. We're gonna have a reunion soon, man.
We should.
Yeah. All right.
All right, Loves. Take care of yourself.
All right, man. Love you, Pete.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that was awesome.
You're gonna be doing this all day. So one of the things we didn't do was just shout out, a couple of other things that you have before you kind of go on to the next thing.
Real quick, I want to talk about the Love Revolution real quick.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Love, we were talking about Love Challenge. The whole month of February, we did the Love Challenge. And now it's still in the works. It's called Love 365.
Ooh. That's nice.
Love 365. We're looking forward to, getting going with that. Love should not be 1 month, 1 day, but we need to be conscious of it 365 days out of the year.
Amen.
Right? And then the birthday shout outs.
Oh, birthday shout out.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Kirsten.
Tomorrow is she's the baby of the bunch. I would call her the caboose.
The caboose.
Yeah. On your side of the family, she's the youngest, your mom's youngest grandchild.
Oh, okay.
And look at that cute little face when she was a baby. Mm-hmm. That's our baby.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Kirsten. And today it's my sister
Pat's birthday. Happy birthday, Pat. We love you.
Pat. Yes, this is my sister in love. And she's a pretty amazing woman doing some great and marvelous things. So it's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So it's been really, just hearing the things that Pete was saying, about how you grew up and all the things that Jimmy did for everybody. He was just really an amazing. I know today most of the people popping on are guys. You didn't choose any of the ladies, but I'm one of those ladies that was definitely impacted by.
Well,
Jimmy
we can
Jones.
go to a picture real quick.
You got a picture.
Just to see, go down. There's a picture of Mr. Coleman, and we, in terms of the summer league, James's impact on many different dimensions, many different levels. This thing is so crazy. There's Mr. Joseph Coleman. There's my wife right there. Kneeling down along with Marsha Blunt.
Audrey Vick and B.B. Benjamin, and we have Edna Darby. Then we have your fiance back then. You can't leave her out. That was Linda, man.
Yeah,
that was,
Linda.
Linda had it going on, man. I loved playing with Linda back in the day. And then
Linda.
The other girl, Lori. Linda.
They're West Virginia players. They came up and played in the summer league during the summertime. Pastor Garner, Richard Garner, graduate of Manhattan College, one of the greatest guards in the history of New York in college, and one of the all-time leading scorers at Manhattan College, and became a teacher, a pastor and minister. I think one of the craziest things with Richie was that I knew that he was successful in college, but he was always our playground teacher during the summertime.
Yes.
And I used to walk over to him, and he was always reading something. And I used to ask Richie, man, what are you reading? And I knew he was going to be drafted. He got drafted by the Knicks and the Indiana Pacers in the ABA. And he told me he wasn't going pro. He was going that he was going into the ministry. you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And then later on, Jimmy and Richie, Jimmy and Richie right there. Jimmy, of course, was in charge of security at the high school, and Richie was a math teacher at the high school. And the two of them together ran. We'll talk a little bit about later. One of the most successful summer basketball leagues in the history of it. I mean, we talk about Rucker Park. Man, we used to talk about 4th Street. We used to have some historic games, and the picture you seen with my wife in it, that was in the summer league.
And you
And
can see we were balling. You see that sweat?
yeah,
Yo, that
yo,
sweat was on. We
yeah.
were balling. Look at that sweat. Look at that sweat. We were balling. I don't know. Linda was really balling. Look, your whole shirt is all jacked up.
Yeah.
We cool sweat. Linda sweat.
So I think we got another pop on gas.
Oh yeah. Let's see what we
Yeah.
got in the winds. Okay, well we see some fingers. Is that the great James Thompson?
Yeah, man.
Let's take him off mute. I think he's on mute. Unmute your mic. There you go.
James Thompson, what's up, man?
I am blessed to be here just like you guys.
Yeah, man. So you came later on into the Boys and Girls Club and had the pleasure of meeting James Jones. Yeah, Mr. Jones. So talk about the man, the myth, the legend, man. Talk about your experience at the club and with James.
For me, so I come from a family of mostly women. Uncle had a father, but other than that, it was all women. So and I have no older brothers. Um, so when Jeff Dixon and Kevin Sledge walked me into the boys club, that was the first day I learned when you walked in the building, you had to take your hat off. It was the very first thing I learned. Um, on that day, I met Jimmy Jones, Mr. Coleman, and Miss Brown. Um, that combination had a great impact on me. Mr. Coleman taught me how to. I already knew how to respect elders, but he taught me in a different way. Um, I would say that he between him and Jimmy Jones, they were like the first black men in my life on a consistent basis that were not in my family. Um, when it comes to Jimmy Jones, I feel like so I didn't go far in basketball, um, and I didn't have that many coaches. But out of all the coaches I had, I always put him as number one. I put Les Shinnery as number two, and then I had Jim Couch down in Dykeman as number three. Jimmy Jones taught me how to compete. He taught me how to be a good teammate, a good friend. I had long one-on-one conversations with him, um, just about life. It could have been after a tournament. We could have won. We could have lost. Um, but he just talked to me about. He always talked about God and church and his faith and his belief. Um, so I clearly understood where he came from in that regard. But we talked a lot of basketball, and I never seen him play. I don't know if he. I actually don't know if he ever played, but he knew the game of basketball, and he was a motivator. We could be down 15 points, and we go in that locker room at halftime, and he makes some statements, and we get our hands in the circle, and he'll be like,
Those statements were like loving statements, right? Like, I know you guys can do this, right? Like that kind of statement, Jay.
he wasn't much of a church man and know that side of him, but motivate he could, and motivate he did, and we went out there and we gave it our all.
Yeah.
Um, I can remember playing in Greensboro, and I blocked the shot. Ref called a goaltend, and I get mad, and I'm thinking I'm punching the cushion, but I punch the wall, and I break my hand. And when he wasn't coaching me in that tournament, but when he found out I did that and why I did it, the look on his face.
I can see the eyebrows going up
Oh
and down.
my God!
I can see it now.
And
Are you crazy?
what's crazy? That was the summer that I was getting married, also,
Mm.
and he knew that, and so that was part of the look like you're a grown man, you're about to get married. What do so I tried to stay in contact with him over the years. I would once in a while be able to get him on the phone and have a short conversation with him. Um, when I had the opportunity, when he was still at the boys club, I would occasionally stop by. Um, and then as an adult, me going into my professional career and working with and one and all
Mm.
the giving back I tried to do, it all stemmed from my relationship with him.
Wow.
Um, I can't say that he ever physically gave me anything. Like he never gave me any money or anything like that. Maybe brought me a pizza or something like that. But everything else he gave me was of great value to me.
Some
Um,
things have a price and some things are
Yeah.
priceless.
right.
Yeah, and I think that what you're saying is that, sometimes we think it's just, he had certain special people,
Hmm.
right? And he made you feel like you were the only one, that he was having these conversations with. When the reality, he was having a conversation with all people, all the people he came in contact with. He expressed how he felt, right? And if he saw potential in you, right? If he saw potential in you, he would stay on you.
Yeah.
Whether and it made no difference whether you was in older, in a school setting,
Hmm.
in the street. If he heard James Thompson did something in the street, he would get you in school
Yeah. Yeah.
or he would get you at the club. I mean, that's just the way it is,
And you know what?
He's the one father. He's a father who didn't have children of his own, but he was a father to many children.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'll be honest here, right? There was a point in time in my young life where I walked that line, right? And but there was always some things in Mount Vernon that kept me in a space where, well, if I could get away with this, okay, but I'm not going to be that guy that everybody knows for doing this bad thing,
Yeah.
Mm.
right? Because nah, I got my grandmother, you know, I got my family at the boys club. I have
And your
some,
sisters weren't playing
I
either.
have my sisters, so
And
I
you had a whole
can't,
bunch of mamas.
right, I can't go crazy, and it always kind of kept me contained. Where my friend right next to me, he wasn't as contained, and he may have dug a little deeper in the dirt. You know what I mean? And got in more trouble than anything that I ever experienced. So there was always a stop button, and I think that stop button is the community that I had assembled around me and helped to raise me. And
Wow.
Jimmy Jones and the Boys Club was all part of that.
Wow. Man, I want, man. Yeah, we could go all day. We could come up with some stories. You know, but I could say, man, when I seen you, well, all the guys that before me, all the guys after me, the same thing I was experiencing, feeling. I could see it in you guys. That determination, that energy, that passion, man. When you went on the court, it was a spirit,
Hmm.
right? And you guys are just awesome, man. Just going out there being the very best that you could be, and having him motivate you. And of course, some of us got him. I got a chance to see James when I was younger, and he wasn't so spiritual. So he'd say, look, man, you don't want me to put my foot where the sun don't shine, like that. And I've seen him do it too. You can't do that stuff today. But and then I've seen him on the other side where, he was showing his love, but he was still intense. I mean, yeah, he was saying it in different ways, but you know what he meant.
And I don't want to leave Calvin out either, because Calvin
CJ.
he was actually my first trainer. Matter of fact, I'm gonna say Calvin was my only trainer. Nobody else worked me out like that. Yeah, open the gym, you could play ball, but Calvin ran drills, and he was the only one that, yo, JT, you need to work on your left hand, man. You can't be the only one in the gym. You could do everything else, but you can't do nothing with your left. So again, it was
Back,
everything.
but you know something, James. Back in the day, a lot of people didn't work on that offhand. Like even in the pros, like people were just, if they were all right, they were all right. Today you've got to be able to develop that ability to go and Euro and do all that kind of stuff. We weren't doing that back in the day. You just outran everybody else with your right hand.
And my son was about 8 or 9 years old when he started being able to use both hands, and I'm looking at him like, oh my gosh, put him in the league right now.
Exactly. Our kids, Sherelle and Losey were ambidextrous. So they would easily go left side of the basket, always left hand, right side of the basket, always right hand. And I was like, man, I was in college trying to get myself over to the right side of the basket. I was faster than everybody else, so I could blow by them no matter. They thought they were going to stop me. I was like, yeah, not today. Yeah, I was going to outrun them or run them over, one of the two things.
That's
But
right.
you're right. You're right. So just a couple of people put some comments up. Wayne came back and said that as James was talking, he said, listen, he got me when I was taking the bad road, and he was straight up with me. Believe me, it impacted me in a very positive way. And that's who he was. That is exactly who he was. He even said he helped me understand, and he didn't put this up here. He said, but he helped me understand how to be respectful of others, and it was extremely honest. And so he definitely was one. Respect was big, and Trevor Parker said he always had a lot of respect for him. So truly, this was who this man was, and his legacy lives on in all of us.
Yeah, awesome. So James, I want to thank you for popping on, man. We could go all day, man. But thanks for popping on, man. I appreciate it.
Tell your sisters I said hi.
Yeah. And your wife. Yeah.
I got one thing to say. I don't know how y'all do it. Y'all are like a dream. I don't have grandchildren yet, but should my sons bless me, I hope I get blessed the way y'all do.
I tell people all the time, grandkids are so much fun. My favorite line is, if I knew they were this much fun, I'd have had them first. They're a real joy. But truly, thank you.
Yeah.
Love you
thanks,
much.
James.
Love you much.
man. Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Get ready for that reunion, man. We having a reunion.
Okay. Let me know.
Okay.
All righty.
All right.
Bye. You want to hit that next video, or are we in the?
Yeah, let's hit that next video.
Talk
right
about the
now.
another side of who Mr. Jones was. So let's get that and see what we got here.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Just shows who he was a versatile guy. He did so many things: basketball, school, ministry. He was really just an all-around good guy. He was so good. He's I don't think we had a picture in any of our things because we couldn't find it, but he was our best man at our wedding.
Yeah, best man. Mm-hmm.
And he's the godfather to our daughter,
mm-hmm.
right?
That's
and
right.
So he's and he's just really, he's just really a good guy, and we're really just excited to be able to talk about him today on our show. I think this is a picture of him with Michelle.
Yeah, that's our our oldest daughter, and James is a godfather.
Yeah.
Just awesome, man. And one of the things is they always say that when you're an actor, male or female, if you're an actor, they are one-dimensional actors, or one of the favorite words, either in entertainment or in sports, that person's a triple threat. Right? So when you look at James as a triple threat, we're talking about the boys club, guys talking about their impact of that James had on them at the boys club. but James was a three-dimensional person because his impact. Here's the story. James coached 5 or 6 teams as a young man, and he coached every one of them, practiced every one of them. And CJ was one of the other coaches. He had a B team. He had a B team. It was my first coach. I was with him for one game, and then he sent me to James. And so James cared so much about the players that he had on his team that he would visit the school. If you were in elementary school, he would visit the elementary school to find out how your grades were, because that was one of the things. You had to have good character, good attitude, and you had to have good grades in order to play on his team. He did not wait around, because once you made the team, he would visit your house to make sure that everything was good in your house. He would meet with your parents, your mother, whoever was there. He met with mine. And when he found out that, and I was talking about this at the memorial, when he found out that my mother found out that I was cleaning at the club, but she was like, what? He don't clean anything here, man. He don't take out the garbage. And he said, you can no longer play for me until you do that. And of course, instantly, man, I started making my bed, cleaning up my room, and taking out the garbage 3 times if my mother wanted me, so that I could get back to the Boys and Girls Club and the Boys Club and play. And so he would go get permission from the parents to visit the schools to get your report card. Right? And he was in the school district so much that they gave him a monitoring job, a school safety officer. Right? And that's why many of us have been impacted by Mr. Jones at the Boys Club, Boys and Girls Club. And then many have been impacted who never knew him in the Boys Club or Boys and Girls Club, because he was the security officer in the high school. I mean, and so he's at 3 levels. And then when you talk about the church, how he's impacted people at the church, it was a whole nother mindset. But we got another pop-on guest here. Not the Ricky Burton.
Wow. Yes.
Boys and Girls Club fame, Seton Hall fame.
My family, good morning.
Good morning.
What's up, Rick? How you doing, man? We just talking about Jimmy, So yeah, man, jump right in, man. We had Peter Janisi, we had James Thompson talking about James. Talk about James, man.
Lowe's, there are so many memories, but when I think about James, I can't think about James without thinking about you also, because the one thing that sticks out in my mind is when I was in 7th grade, and you guys came to my house at 4 o'clock in the morning and said, we driving Lowe's to college. And my mother was like, take them, just take them. Like, you can't do that nowadays, right? Kids can't go nowhere. Take them. And James took me down there to experience that. It was the first time I ever seen a college arena that big. I was just in awe. And I think that's what got me to focus and try to play basketball, watching you play. Because at the time, I thought you were the best player I've ever seen in my life. So you're still up there, buddy. Don't get me wrong. I've seen a lot of players since then, but at the time, I said, there's nobody better than this guy. So when I think about that, it warms my heart, because it taught me a lot. I appreciated the whole trip. I appreciated how kind you were to me. Kid from the Heights, and you were a Southside guy. You guys embraced me. And ever since then, we just had this great relationship. So, Jimmy was special. We, from the club to the 7 o'clock workouts in the morning, the 7 o'clock workouts after the club was closed, to me trying to convince me to be a Boston Celtic fan, which was never going to happen, right?
That's right. All of us, every one of us.
Yeah, that was never going to happen. And I remember one story. He took me to a game to watch you play. And he just said, look at the small things, right? Look at how Lowe's dressed. Look at how he puts his socks on. Look how he's prepared for a game. And it sounds like it's nothing, but as you get older, you realize it's a lot. It's a lot to it. If you watch Michael Jordan dress, you see how he's meticulous every game. If you watch, Ray Williams and Gus when they played, Scooter and Rodney, they were meticulous how they played every game. So there were so many stories that I have with you and him and the club and James Thompson and Ricky Stanley and Scooter and Rodney. And I still say to this day that the best competition in my life was the Boys Club. I don't care where I went. I don't care who I played against. The best competition every day was a guy who didn't make the basketball team in high school, but was so good, gave me a hard time on the court. And we all have players like that, right?
That's right. Yeah.
He didn't make the team, and he's giving me a hard time. And I hated playing against him, So
Fred Blake was one of those guys.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh my God!
And Fred Blake, every sport he played, he played baseball. He's hitting the ball into the highway, or from the into the highway. Like you always had that player that just could do
Special,
it.
Right? I called Fred. I said Fred was the first Deion Sanders before there was a Deion Sanders.
Okay.
Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson. Yeah. He could play any sport except for hockey. If he wanted his team. Yeah, he probably could play hockey. Nah, but no, it was so crazy to hear that, because I remember the one time, you only have one high school in Mount Vernon. Where Yonkers had 3 high schools, right? And we had one high school, and we didn't have enough high schools.
Yonkers had 5 high schools.
5 high schools, and Mount Vernon had 1. And when I thought about watching the Sonics play, because I remember seeing the Sonics play Gus and them, when Gus and them went to the state championships. They lost in the national championship. They lost the national championship game in Washington, D.C., right? And Gus and them was really good. Right, but many people don't remember this private game between the Boys Club, Gary Johnson before Gary was on the team, and Mike Evans and all these different guys that were on that team. Pop Gibson, Buggy, Chuckwee Woodson, who eventually made varsity, right? But beat Harvard High School in the scrimmage. I mean, wore them out by about 25 points. I mean, Jimmy just, and see, this is the legend of James, man. I'll never forget when I first started coaching with Coach Semino, and I walked in the gym, and Ernie Leutch, who Ernie Leutch was in the gym talking about Semino, and Howard Garfinkel was in the gym, from 5 Star, right? He did all the reports, on the team. On the players, he evaluated all the players and sold all those reports to the colleges and stuff like that. And when I walked in, they said, "Hey, you remember Lowe's Moore?" And they both turned around and said, "Lowe's Moore." And the first question they asked me was, "How's that guy Jimmy Jones?" That's the first question. They said, we were coaching, and we never seen people dismantle our teams. Man, just beat us mercifully. He was just a genius on the court, man. He had them guys playing. And it was just everywhere you went, you said, first thing people would say, "Yo, how's Jimmy doing?" And I mean, people who we just beat.
Can I ask you a question? Was Jimmy coaching y'all when, what was the name? Milbank used to come down. Was Jimmy coaching y'all then, or he was just running the league? Who used to coach y'all?
He was just running the league.
Who would coach y'all?
First of all, we coach ourselves.
Ricky, right? Was the Milbank Mount Vernon games at 4th Street Playground like the craziest thing we used to ever see? Oh, people on the fences, people were in the trees watching the game.
And you know what is so crazy? Because we didn't like Rucker Park. There was a documentation of it. We didn't document. Pictures and stuff like video. Because we were like a little Rutgers. I mean, in one of the top 5 summer leagues in the nation for 20-some years.
And that's when pro players used to actually play summer league. Because now they just go to the rich little spots up in L.A. with LeBron and his group.
Air-conditioned gyms.
No, they don't remember back in the day when.
No. They was out there playing on cement. It was just ridiculous. It was the most exciting thing of the summer. I mean, everybody was there. And it's not easy. And Trish, it's not easy playing outside.
No.
Right? It's not easy playing
My
outside.
knees are feeling it today.
I mean, just your jump shot. You can't shoot it the same because it's outside. So, and I would watch Gus and Lowe's. I'm like, how are they making these long jump shots outside?
And remember the chain nets? It just go.
I'm trying to get a layup. They shoot 30-footers. I'm like, damn, bro.
I think a lot of what made Jimmy great was the mental preparation. I mean, that he had, what he would put in your mind about you. And I never forget, man, when you look at those pictures, like all those guys were great basketball players. There goes Fred Blake in the middle. The Ed Cheatham, and guys were on the South Side, right? Left the South Side and came to the North Side to play with Jimmy, right? And there's a lot of guys who will tell you today, right? They will tell you today, man, I wanted to go play with James. There go Ricky. Ricky was in all those pictures. I wanted to go play with James, but I just couldn't do it. My pride wouldn't allow me to do it. But that was the one thing I talked about, and I want to play for James. Yeah, I remember Ed Cheatham coming down to the club, man, just to visit, and he told James, he said, man, I always wanted to play for you.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man, and Rick, I'll never forget like that time, because when you drive to West Virginia, it's like easy to drive to West Virginia right now, right? But back then we were going up the mountain,
right,
coming down the mountain, and there was no WBLS out there.
No.
And so we were listening to the radio, and it was going in and out, and every kind of song.
Ricky sang it, right?
Rick sung every song. I mean, like, how do you know these songs?
And
the thing is, he kept us awake because he sung the whole trip.
Listen, Rick, we were in high school and we went to the state. We were going to the playoffs, and they made the girls and the guys ride on the bus together, right? And Rick and Les, like Leslie Smith and Rick, they sang everything. I felt like we had our own Nick Ashford, Valerie Simpson. We had concerts going on. And Rick has singing skills for real though.
No. He could play and he could sing. Yeah. It was great times, man. And I'll never forget this. I don't think you know this, but you guys dropped me off at the dorm, helped me take all my stuff up. Yep. And I was looking out the window and y'all were driving away, man. And I took off downstairs. I was running, trying to catch that car, man. And it was a McDonald's. You get to the end of the corner, it was a McDonald's straight ahead, and then you had to make a right or left. And y'all made the right leaving West Virginia. And I saw y'all make that right, and I was running, right?
Really?
And man. I was like, I'm going home, man. And I got to the McDonald's. They had a payphone, right? And I dialed 0 and call collect to my mom, and Mom, I'm coming home. I ain't coming back. I'm coming home. And she was like, nah, your room is gone. I hung the phone up and dragged my way back to the dorm.
Wow.
I cried all the way back to the dorm, man. I was like, man, that's a tough time, man.
That's a tough time for everybody to go to college, right?
Especially when you go from the Mount Vernon
to West Virginia.
That's a culture shock.
No, check this out.
Nobody looks like you down there. So.
No, they don't. It was tough.
And that's why, look. That's why he came back with that young lady on the left-hand side over there in that top corner.
Oh, man.
Is that Linda?
Yeah, Linda.
She was nice, though.
She could. Let me tell you, she could play some ball.
Yeah.
No question about it. I always told people she was the baddest chick I saw come out of. Like I was like, white girls could play. Like she was really good.
Yeah, and she came up here and played. And the crazy thing is, we met. I was playing, and I was working out in the gym, and she was like, "Oh, can I work out with you?" Just kind of how it started, just working out. Working on the game, working on ball handling, and just kind of evolved. you know. But nah, great times, man. You know, we appreciate those great times back then.
How's your family?
Chief, we're doing good. Everybody's doing good. Jazz is finishing up his master's. Iona. The kids are doing well. Jim is doing well. Everybody, you know, we think about you guys. Lowe's keeps me in the loop all the time, so I appreciate everything. He lets
How many grand? I know you recently had a grandbaby. She's what, about a year or so?
Yeah, Jazz had a baby, so she'll be 2 in April. Justin has 2, working on number 3. So
wow.
I'm on 4 now. So
wow, nice.
You know that's how it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
fun.
Yeah, man. But thanks for popping on, man. I appreciate you, man. Yeah.
Always a pleasure. You know, you guys mean so much to me, so I'm always going to come on when you call. So.
Yes, sir.
Love
Thank
you.
Man.
You know, Rick, I don't know, Rick, I don't know if you know this, but when I was a freshman in college, your picture was on my refrigerator, right? So I had your picture, Curtis's picture, had Gus's picture, Rodney's picture, Scooter's picture, Lowe's picture. And I said, and because when people walked in my room, I said, I just want y'all to know where I'm from. I was like, it was all about that. I'm from Mount Vernon. Look, this is who Mount Vernon is, and because you guys were really people that really set a bar. Everybody set a bar, and I was really proud of you guys and all the work that you did, and had an opportunity to watch you play when you were at Seton Hall, and always was very proud of you, and you know I love you tremendously.
Thank you. I love you too. Let me just share this with you before I go. I was in a meeting. I went to Dallas, Texas to talk to, now I'm in the cannabis business, right? The legal cannabis business, right? I never thought that I would be involved in, but they gave me a license in New York. So I went to a meeting in Dallas, Texas, and I met with this investment firm, and it was a elderly white man, maybe 65 years old, from New York. And once I told him I was from Mount Vernon, his eyes just lit up. He knew Lowe's, he knew Scooter. He was from Chappaqua.
Okay.
And here's a guy that's a zillionaire down in Dallas, Texas, and said, I tell everybody about Mount Vernon basketball. It's unbelievable. He went down, he named every player. It was just so Mount Vernon. My point is, you just never know, right? Mm-hmm. And we are so big and we're so well known around the country that it's really impressive. And I tell people where I live now, I'm from Mount Vernon.
That's it.
They can say what they want to say. They say, "Oh, it's violence," or whatever. I'm never going to shy away from that because I know what Mount Vernon meant to me. It still does. So
yeah. So
Rick,
thanks, man.
Tell Jim we said hi.
I will. See you later.
All right. So you know what's so crazy when Rick says that? I was down in the city doing networking last week. They doing the beginning of the NCAA's with the real estate guys, and one of the guys I with is in an apparel company. They do clothes. His wife does clothing. He does clothing. They do it all over the world, internationally. So he took me over to meet this other guy who's in the apparel company in another building. So I go over there. I walk in. He said, "Oh," the guy looks at me, right? He said, "I want to introduce you." "Oh, that's Lowe's Moore, man. I know him." I was like, "What is going on?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in the apparel company, man. Mount Vernon has everywhere, man.
And who is it? Was it Jerry Hoover, 4 Square Miles to Glory? Mm-hmm. Is that his book, or is that
4 Square?
Is that Ron Fleming?
No. His book is
4 Square. And the reality is
the documentary.
Yeah, the 4 Square Miles to Glory. We there is so much talent and gifts in this 4 Square Miles. When people try to come for the glass half empty, I overflow the glass. Yeah. I said, don't make me have to bring out who we are.
That's right.
Because I will do that, definitely. So you want to do this next video before you bring in your next guest?
Yeah, I want to do this last video before I got Dr. Burt's coming on. I got Mr. Burt's coming on. We're going to have a good time. I want to show you this little video because he can talk to it. He's one that can speak to it. Let's check this out.
All righty.
Yeah, there go Mr. Burks right there. You see Mr. Burks, go back to that picture real quick. Yeah, with the afro, he got the more hair than everybody on there, right? I think he was
With
number
the 17
17. Number 17 up there.
or 20. Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
I
number,
got the
we
fro.
got the fro. Dr. Burks and Rod, what's up? Good morning.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Yeah, Rod, I want to start with you before I start with Mr. Burks. So, Rod, I mean, you called me up the other day, man. I mean, you know how men are, man. We don't show a whole lot of emotion, but you called me up, man, and you was asking me how, you know, Mr. Jones, the situation, how he passed, different things like that, and we had a conversation. So, talk about your relationship with James, man, and his impact on your life.
Um, I was trying to write down some stuff this morning. Um, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear
Can you
you.
hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. You good?
Hello.
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. My house is in disarray. I just got new floors in my house. I mean, it's all kinds of craziness. I can't sit at my computer because there's so much junk sitting behind my computer. But yeah, I was writing some stuff down this morning, and uh, I wrote down that in 1979 I was in middle school. I was playing Pop Warner football in New Rochelle. I grew up watching and playing all sports, but without direction. Joining the boys club at the time joining the boys club at that time when basketball was a prominent sport in Mount Vernon. After playing organized sports for the city programs, I used to find myself playing those exact sports in the projects. But there was a basketball league I wanted to get in that was at night in Washington Elementary School. It was the rec league. Um, there were really good teams and players like the Plaza All Stars, CAG, the Telestars, and two teams from the boys club, which were the dominant teams, which was the Sonics A and B team. I had to get in this league, and one of those teams, I went down to the boys club, and the first face I got to see was Mr. Coleman. And I can't, and all he could, all I remember when him walking in that boys club was, "Can I help you, sir?" And he gave me a tour and introduced me to CJ. And CJ looked at me and asked, "Can I play basketball?" And I said, "Yeah." And he asked me to take a shot, and he said to me, "It looked like you play football." And my response was, "Yeah, I do play football." So Mr. Coleman, he told Mr. Coleman to get me an application so I can learn the right way to play basketball. And I asked him, "Will I be able to play on the Sonic team?" And he laughed and said, "Maybe, but you need to develop some training." And he said, "I got the right person to help you." And then he introduced me. He said, "This is my brother, Jim." Am I back on? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
He said, "This is my brother, Jim." And he said, "This is a very good person, but to turn you from a football player into a basketball player." And it was a memorable partnership ever since. Not only did I become a basketball player for the Boys and Girls Club, I was able to play for the in-house team, the travel team, and eventually become a coach at the Boys Club. And that was a profound effect on a lot of us young men that came through the Boys Club, came through those doors. And I was a very good coach. Jim was a very good coach and a friend and a mentor. He would always find a way to support me in everything that I was involved in, inside and outside the Boys Club, good and bad. I mean, there was a lot of bad that I went through growing up in that Boys Club. even doing wrong, you know, at the boys club. Um, it's been 25, almost 30 years that I walked through those doors, and it hurts to know that there's no more basketball there. It was the greatest experience being raised up at a facility somewhere other than home. Mr. Coleman, CJ, Miss Brown, and now Jim Jones. And I officially said that the boys club is closed. The last time I saw Jim was at my friend Rodney Booba J's funeral. We passed each other, and he said, at least some of the boys club alumni showed up. I didn't know how to end it, so I said, I'll miss you, Mr. Jones. Thank you for being the Christ-like, Christ-leading, Christ-loving in my life. Rod Bowman, alumni, 1980 until now.
Yeah.
It's just, I had to find out, as I told you, Lowe's, when I called you, because for my last time to see him, I always wondered where he was and where what he was up to, being that he wasn't at the club anymore. I mean, was he still involved with the high school? And then for me to sit at the funeral and not to see him, like in a coffin, see his body. It hurts to know that when you have somebody like that in your life and then they leave and you haven't seen them in years, and then next time you do see or hear from them, they're gone. I'm gonna try to hold back the tears from it all, but it was one of those things where he was a big part of my life. Growing up in a house with a lot of siblings, but no father, no male, and he wasn't playing. He didn't step in as that role as a father figure, but he stepped in that role as a male figure to help me and direct me into who I am today. So I didn't get the chance to thank him for it, but I thank God for him.
Well, I appreciate you. I thought it was important for you to come on and share. And I want to thank you for coming on this morning, man. I appreciate you. Right, you're gonna make me start going. So yeah. So Rod, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you for coming on, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, man. All right. Have a blessed one, man. Stay in touch.
Well, I will.
Okay. Dr. Birds.
Go.
We can't see you on camera, but oh, there you go. Dr. Birds. Now, I gotta preference this. So I'm gonna preference this real quickly, and we're gonna run over. Don't worry about time. We're gonna run over this one. So real quickly, many people know, that of course I got cut from the Boys and Girls Club in Southside, along with David Jones, we spoke about earlier, along with Peter Janisi. And the crazy thing was, David invited me to come over. Real quick story. He invited me to come over to the Northside after we got cut from the Southside. And I was like, no, I'm not going. And then David showed up on Saturday, and of course he forced me to get out of bed, man. And the reason why I went over to the Northside in the first place. And I get over and I meet Calvin Jones. As we're signing the club, me and David, and he asked us if we wanted to play on the basketball team. And no trial, he just put us on the team, and we played the game that day. And of course, we won the game, my first organized basketball experience, and ended up, CJ said he couldn't do anything with me, just like Rob was just saying. He couldn't do anything with me, and he told me to come back on Monday. And I walk in the gym on Monday, and Mr. Burtz is there. Well, he wasn't Mr. Burtz. He was just Ralph at the time. Ralph and Tony Crawford. I mean, if you went back to that picture, Ralph and Tony Crawford actually were. James hadn't come downstairs yet, and I couldn't. they were the captains and they were running practice when I walked in, and you could not get out of line with Tony. There's Tony right there next to me.
What number? So you
can't really
pointing,
see
but
it.
the people can't see what you're
Yeah,
pointing to.
I'm number 11 there with my hand is covering up one of the ones. It looks just like a one, but next to me is Tony Crawford.
To the left of you.
Yeah, to the left of me is Tony Crawford, and then to the right of me is Frank Holland, and then Ralph Burtz. So
Who's in the front row on the?
you got Scap and Nene.
That's Nene.
Yeah, and then you got that's Pink Pad.
Wow.
Albert Lewis, he just recently passed. That's his brother in the middle there. Arthur Outlaw, Paul Alboni, and Nate Clinton. Of course, Jamie Jones and Pop Brown. And Ralph ran that practice, man, and nobody got out of line, man. And then when James came downstairs, he came downstairs walking in like the Godfather, He walked in like the Godfather, lined us all up, man, and then he said, "Man, cleanliness is next to godliness. Man, you got to be clean, right?" He lined us up and he said, "Don't look down, look straight ahead." Right? What color socks you got on? And at the time, guys were John Bargain socks. You got yellow stripes and red stripes and all kinds of stripes on your socks. And he asked me, "What color's your socks?" And I could not remember what my color of my socks was. He said, "You should be aware of what you're wearing," like that. And he went through the whole scene of, I know your parents are struggling like this, but you could take those socks every night and you can wash them out. Don't go to school with dirty socks, and don't come here practice with dirty socks. Told us how to use a jock strap. He came out, "This is a jock strap. You need one of these," all that kind of stuff like that. And
They need to teach people that today. Sorry, that was out.
But Mr. Burtz, Dr. Burtz, Ralph, talk to me about your first experience, how you got there, and to the boys club. Particularly, you lived on the south side with me, and you were on the north side. How did it all happen for you? I mean, in terms of meeting James and the long history that you guys share.
Well, my first of all, good morning, and thank you for allowing me to come on. Okay. Secondly, my experience with Mr. Jones was at Washington Junior High School. I played with this team called the Bucks because they were an expansion team in the NBA, and I was always a fan of Lou Alcindor. So I had Charles Alford, Lewis May, Juan Green, and some other guys, and we were on the team. So our first game was against the Sonics. And I want you to know, we could play basketball, we could dribble and all that stuff, but we could not get the ball past half court. Because James put that press on us, and it was horrible. So then I knew then where I was coming the next year. So I came to practice. I was working at Tyler's Parkland Daycare Center with the children. I came to practice, and I banged on the back door, and they let me in, and everybody was on the court. So I couldn't go in the locker room, so I took my clothes off, put them in the corner. And we got on the court, and we started playing. And that was the beginning of my experience, and it was a wonderful experience because, quite frankly, I got tired of running up and down the court, not doing anything, not learning anything. We had a playbook.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right.
I call it the encyclopedia.
Right, because James his basketball acumen was extremely off the hook. I mean, he could have been an NBA coach.
Yeah.
He encouraged responsibility in us. Like you said with those socks, that was serious. So the socks that we had to wear were white socks with a blue top because blue was the Sonic color. He made sure we had a gym bag with a supporter, with a washcloth and a towel, with some deodorant, some lotion, and some foot powder. Because after practice, you got to take a shower. And we learned the fundamentals of basketball, and we excelled. The Recreation League was the Sonic Recreation League because we played on Tuesday nights, but Friday night was the best time because after the basketball game, we had parties at the Boys Club.
Yeah.
And I used to bring my electrophonic component set there, and we would set up and we would have a good time. And the Boys Club was a community, it was a family. It helped raise us. It instilled a good work ethic in us and taught us how to be men. And then to further, I'm not going to say complicate for me, but to further complicate matters for our team members, James used to come up to the high school every day to check on our players. Because unfortunately, some of our players are not very studious. Okay, so he was up there so much that Mr. Maganello, who was the principal at the time, he gave James a job. And that's where his career began as security over 40 years. Now, he didn't have to check on me because I had a James Jones in my household, my mother and father.
Yeah.
And they told me, I send you to school to learn. The white people better not call me. Because if they call me, I'm going to come up there and beat your ASS in front of everybody. And that was enough for me. But I'm telling you, man, he was an angel on earth, man. Because what I liked about James is that he zeroed in on our players who needed the most. Like he had a penchant for the underdog. And he would take these players and he would transform and transmogrify them into basketball players. And a lot of them that I know now, they're withstanding citizens in society. Good jobs, graduate from high school, some went to college, and we all let all the James.
Yeah.
And I shared this at his memorial. James was a selfless giver. He's very humble, and as you do know, I'm from North Carolina State, and when we graduated from high school, we graduated on Sundays, but Sunday was a rain day, so graduation was rescheduled to Monday morning. But I had to be down at North Carolina State for freshman orientation. Now, I didn't know we were poor because we had all we needed. But what Mr. Jones did, he went into his pocket and he bought me a round trip plane ticket, and that's something that I will never, ever forget. And anytime you and James needed music for the Boys Club, I was there. I really miss those Thanksgiving gatherings.
Yeah.
Because, it was community time. We had a good time. We had the seniors from the Dole Center. We had the Revelators. We had Tommy Bennett with his karate exhibition. We had real good times.
Cheerleaders, yeah.
Cheerleaders,
Tracy,
all that, man, but no more.
Listen, there's not enough. If there was an epitaph, there wouldn't be enough space to say all the things that he did. And he didn't want recognition for it. You never saw him out front saying, do you know all the people whose lives I touched? You never heard him use the I word about what I did, I this, I that. It was, he did it, but he didn't want anybody to know that was what he did. If you wanted to honor and recognize him, that was okay on your own terms, but he did not like to be out in front. He was a very humble man when it came down to that.
Yeah.
Boy, did I learn that. Because I was principal on special assignment, and I was about to go back to Mandela. So Dr. Bennett Conroy asked myself, Denise Coates, and Don Monroe to oversee the security department because they had fired the director. So we knew he was retiring. So we set up a cookout. I brought my equipment. Everybody brought food, and I bought James this nice big plaque. So, I expected him to be there. I'm waiting. He never showed up. So I knew then that James was more interested in the reward and not the award.
Right.
And he was just, you'll never find another one like him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you were at the Boys Club that Friday night. We had the party and the Black Spades came. Were you there?
Oh yeah, I was there. And Pop Brown, what's other big guy? Oh man, light skinned guy. Sam Gay.
You right, Sam Gay. Mother Moore, I have never seen so much hardware come out in my life to that front door when the Black Spades talking to get in there. I saw machetes, chains, shotguns. I said, these things are at the Boys Club? But that's the
Wait.
first and very last time that they came. And we had a good time.
Yeah, because Sam was the police detective.
Right.
Yeah,
And
he came out there. He rolled out there with Pop Brown and Jeffrey Brown and those old Gwen family, the Brown family. They come out there, man, and I'm telling you, man, I was a little kid. I got to be like, I don't know, but we were downstairs shooting balls and jumping on the trampoline when we heard all this noise, and the guy came from Eatonwall, right? They came from Eatonwall, dynamite.
Yeah.
He came with some fake dynamite, They said, yeah, you can come with the dynamite or whatever, but you ain't coming in here,
Oh yeah. And you know what? Another thing that I remember distinctly when we had those award dinners
Oh yeah,
at the end of
yeah.
the season. Your parents came, you showed up, you had a suit and tie on, and you got nice trophies. And they had a Miss Sonic contest. Remember that?
Yeah. I remember Georgia Gravely.
Right, she was
She
Miss
was
Sonic.
Miss Sonic, right? And I think you seen there was a building. I think it was a building right there. That was one of my first experiences over there by Pastor Spruill's church. We had him at the club, and this was
Right.
one of my first experiences. The Polish Center, I think that was right over there by his church. And we had the awards dinner in there. I was talking to Mike Evans. I was hoping he was going to get on. Mike talked to me for about an hour and a half the other day, man, about James, man. He just James. Mike was a legend. I mean, I've never seen a guy like Mike. Had to be what, 5'11"?
You jump
6
out
foot.
the gym. Good jump out
I
the
never
gym.
seen anybody jump like him. I mean, it was just incredible to see Mike play. I think he shocked James. He shocked everybody, man. Mike could just ball out, right? But
Before you close out, guys, I'm going to put up a picture and y'all just talk about this picture really quickly, the two of you.
yeah,
My goodness.
that's
The Angels from the Boys Club.
right.
Mr. Coleman, CJ, James, Andrea Brown. Now, we used to affectionately call Andrea Brown Bubbles.
Bubbles, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they laid a foundation, and you can go all the way back to the Northside with Dick Computer as the executive director, Jim Tewitt, Billy Thomas, Mr. White. I mean, it was just so many people, and we can't forget, for me, Janice Hardy. I mean, she was at the Southside Boys Club as secretary over there. Janice was just amazing. It was just so many amazing people in the club, man. As you look at all these people and the impact that James had, and the impact he's had on not just the boys club, the school district, and the community of Mount Vernon, right? And just so many. Wow. Yeah, man. I want to thank you for coming on, man. We got to do this reunion, Ralph.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking also? Just like Billy Thomas has a Billy Thomas way over by the Southside Boys Club, perhaps we can get a James Jones way over there near the North Side.
Yes.
So we need to find out what we need to do to make that happen.
That's Mike Evans right there.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, the human highlight film. Hey, I gotta tell you this, Ralph. The last week when we were at James, go back to that picture, right? Not the other with the blue uniform. James designed those uniforms,
right?
So every T-shirt you ever seen at the Boys and Girls Club for summer program, James designed all of them. He drew all those things. He drew all the, all the promos and everything. And interesting, last week, Chef Tour right there it's probably to your left or to your right. That's Chef Tour right there. And there's Cecil Bonds.
Right.
Cecil Bonds right there. They were talking to each other last week at the memorial. They having a conversation with each other. And so O was saying, like, I must have played before you. And Cecil said, yeah, I must have been behind you. And I'm looking at them. I pull a picture up. I said, yo, Y'all don't remember y'all on the same team? They both right here. I said, "Look at your pictures right there. Y'all on the same team." They couldn't remember. And you know, James used to have these skull sessions, right? And Cecil, I'll never forget it. Cecil says, and then we look. He had all the teams in there, and he wanted to know what we wanted to be in the future. You know, everybody's, I'm playing the NBA, I'm doing so forth. And Cecil Barnes said, I want to travel. I want to be a traveling chef on a train. And everybody was like, he gonna be what? I'll never forget when he said it. And when I was talking to Cecil, man, back a few years ago, I said, Cecil, why did you say that? Now that I drew, that's one of my portraits there of Jimmy. And I said, well, why did you say that, man? Everybody's talking about being athletes, and you talking about you gonna cook on a traveling train. Well, he said my uncle used to come home. He worked on the train. He cooked on the train, and every time he got off the train, I would see him when he came home. He had the flyest clothes and the nicest car. So I said, I want to be like my uncle, right? And you know, he did. I don't know if you knew that eventually he graduated, and eventually he was a chef, and then he traveled the world cooking on a train. I mean, that's how James would say, what do you want to be? And then he want to help you materialize that, you know, that dream that you had. So, yeah, just the guy, it was funny, man. You two guys on the same team, didn't know they was on the same team. I mean, that means we getting older, right?
Listen, that's the only choice we got right now. I tell people all the time, that's the only choice I get. If my knees hurt, I know I'm getting older. It's all right.
Yeah. But I just will never forget the county center one time. We played in the county center with the older guys. I think CJ and all them were playing for James, and they won the county championship. And I'll never forget, man, seeing James, because we took the bus everywhere.
Right.
Whether we going to Yonkers, White Plains, we were all on the same bus, you know, together. We took up the whole bus. We laughing and joking, going there and going back. We always had a good time because we always won. You know, no losing. you didn't lose. But I will never forget 5 minutes to go and hear James say, "Showtime!" like that. And then you could do every kind of move. That's the only time you could become undisciplined and do every move. I mean, round the back, through the legs, any kind of shot you wanted, because you was up by so many points. And then he would light his cigar. That's the thing. He would light that cigar and sit at the end of the bench like that, with smoking that cigar, man. I mean, people on the other team was so mad because he believed in the Boston Celtics.
Oh man,
he believed in Red Auerbach.
You remember we used to call him James Big Red Jones?
James Big Red Jones. And of course, what's the name with Red Auerbach would light that cigar up at the end of every Boston Celtic win.
Wow.
So yeah, nah, man, we gonna truly miss James. You know, at the end, we missed him not coming to anything that we had planned.
Right. Oh, I learned my lesson, man.
That's what I said, that you could say all you want to about putting a street sign up. That street sign's going to fall down on its own, because you know he didn't want a street sign. He would not be happy about y'all talking about some street sign. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, we're going to do something for... You
can create an award in his name. That might be something, because then that's something that can last. You know, every time you turn around.
I will be calling Sean, the mayor, tomorrow. Right? We're gonna find some place to immortalize James. Right? Yeah. Because man, what he did on, and here's the crazy thing, what he did on the north side. Right, and when the north side shut down, the impact he had on the south side. Yeah, I mean, and he spent more time on the south side than he did the north side, right? But he had a great impact in this community, and he should be remembered.
Let me tell you something. I know there were many times that James, Mr. Coleman, Andria, and CJ, they worked at that Boys Club. They didn't get paid, man.
That's right.
For free.
Yeah, for free. 2 years.
I remember.
Yeah. And the thing is, I honored them. That's the only time I got to honor James, because he knew if he didn't come, he ain't getting paid. I was like,
Oh boy.
and I was gonna pay him anyway. But I mean, the thing is, I had to put it out there. Look, y'all don't come, you don't get paid, man. And honor Tommy Bennett, who put in selfless,
Tommy Bennett
amount of time there. All that Miss Brown did, CJ did, Mr. Coleman did. Man, I had to honor them.
Yeah.
Marion, yeah, man, just selfless individuals, right? But Ralph, man, I thank you, man, for joining me this morning, man.
My pleasure.
And you lived out something. I lived out something vicariously through you, right? And I was proud of you. James used to always brag, Ralph gonna be a doctor, man. He going to North Carolina State. He gonna be a doctor. He gonna be in med school. All those things. And I admired. He even showed me a report card. This is his report card. Like that. And when you went to North Carolina State University, I was originally from North Carolina. Of course, I was a big fan of North Carolina State. David Thompson. I kind of patterned my game, around David Thompson, jumping ability and stuff like that. And you sent me pictures of David, and man, I want to thank you, man. That was just, that inspired me, man, to want to be. That was my number one school, was to go to North Carolina State. And a few of the coaches that were there took that opportunity away, from me going there. And this is the craziest part. I think after my sophomore year, my sports information director left West Virginia and he went to Florida State. And when he got to Florida State, Norm Sloan was the coach at Florida State. He was the coach at North Carolina State University. And he asked the sports information director, he said, who was one of the best players at West Virginia? And he said, Lowe's Moore, like that. And he said, man, he was my number one recruit coming out of high school. Right now, I know I got a call from the coach that I was not interested. Right. And, but, whatever it was, I went to West Virginia. They didn't get the last laugh. I got the last laugh because I went to the school I eventually wanted. I didn't want to go there, but I chose a school that I wanted to go to. And they didn't decide where I was going to go to school. And the Lord blessed me there too. So, man. But thanks, Ralph, man. And the jump shot and the dribbling up the court with the afro fading in the wind.
Oh, yeah. The Dr. J look.
The Dr. J look. That thing used to flow in the wind, and Ralph was the one guy with the braids in his hair. You set a precedent.
Couldn't have your hair braided at the game. You had to
Oh,
take
no,
your
no.
hair out.
Yeah, you got to take it out. You can have it in practice, but when the game comes, you have to take that hair out.
Sure better. But those are times that I'll never forget, man.
Yeah, me either, man. Yeah,
I want to thank you. I want to thank you and your lovely life, right? Excuse me. Well, your lovely life, because life and wife they rhyme. I kind of understand that now, being a married man.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I want to thank you for the opportunity. Just keep on doing what you're doing, man. And we got to do something for James. If not the street sign, we got to do something that immortalizes him and something that we can celebrate every year.
Yeah.
So just let me know when you're in the planning stations, okay?
All right, cool.
Okay,
thanks,
you have
Ralph.
a blessed day.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. So
what a day.
What a day. Awesome. I thought I'll try to get James' brother Ernie on. He's in Panama. I want to say,
listen,
shout out to the family.
He's worthy enough to have another event somewhere down the line.
And I'm gonna tell you this is a funny story. Because you can show some pictures. There's a few pictures down there about the church, right? Oh, no pictures about the church. Okay, so anyway, so of course I joined the church. I was in ninth grade, and every Sunday we used to play ball at the club. And
it was on the video though. The pictures on the church was all over the video.
Yeah, so and for about 3 Sundays in a row, I didn't come to the boys club to play. And every Monday, James used to say, "Man, where were you? I didn't see you Sunday. Where were you at?" And I said I was at church. He said, "Church?" He's at church. I said, yeah. You got to come, man. You got to come. So, so eventually James came to, we were at Bible Way Church in New Rochelle. And eventually James came to the church. And the same thing that happened to me happened to him that day. He gave his life to God. Right? He gave his life to God. And I went home with him. We went back home to his house. This is the funniest thing, right? We go back to his house. His mother's there. So we walk in, and his mom was like, "Lowe's, what's up?" So I give her a hug and stuff like that. And James goes straight to the refrigerator because every time he come in, his mother would have beer for him at the refrigerator. So James opened up the refrigerator and there's no beer in there, right? Like, he just got saved, So but it was a habit. Just go to the refrigerator and mom had the beer. He opened the refrigerator, there was no beer in there. He turned around, looked at his mother. His mother said, "Well, the Lord said you didn't need it anymore." He said, "What?" Oh man. I think we had we are yeah. But again, thank you guys, man. It was my honor and privilege to be able to do this tribute. I mean, it was little in comparison to what can be done. But we're gonna miss James Jones, James E. Jones, James Jimmy Jones, Jimmy, Big Red, Mr. Jones.
And his legacy lives on. He's got nieces and nephews and, a bunch of nieces and nephews. And, they had an opportunity to experience their love. And then he also really took on and loved, and I'm gonna draw a blank.
Shirley?
No, well, Shirley's his sister.
Yeah.
But Donnie Dendy, the Dendy family.
Dendy, yeah.
The Dendy
he was a part of the video.
He was really part of the Dendy family.
Close to the Dendy family. Yeah. And as I said at the memorial, when I took James with me to meet, we went to the chapel, and I pulled Michael Jordan in. He said, "Lowe's, what you doing?" I was like, Michael. He's like, "Lowe's, what you doing? You don't know him?" I was like, "Yeah, I know Michael." So I pulled Michael. I said, "Michael, Mike, man, I need you to sign these basketballs for me like that." And he's like, "What? Man, I gotta prepare for the game, man." I said, "I know you gotta prepare for the game, but you can sign these balls." So I go, he signs the balls, these little miniature balls.
Yeah.
And so he signs all these balls. And we're talking to him. And I said, "Yeah, man, his sister Shirley loves you. She thinks she's Mrs. Jordan, like that." So I had him sign a picture to Shirley, from Michael. so it was all over. Mike said, "Oh, y'all take care, man." And so he left, and we drove after the game. We drove to Shirley, straight to Shirley's house. We knock on the door. Shirley "Wait, what's going on?" And then she opened the door. There's a giant picture of Michael Jordan at the front door, and we said, "We want to give you this." So he give her the picture. She rubs eyes, looking to Shirley from Michael Jordan. "Hell, you see Michael Jordan?" And so she started grabbing James' hand. You shook his hand. He was rubbing it all over his face. She rubbed it all over his arms, man. Oh man, just a wild time, man.
But we gotta
go.
Because I got to set
God
up.
bless you guys. Love you. Looking forward to seeing you next week, man. Jimmy, we're gonna miss you, but man, you live forever.
And we hope everybody has a beautiful Resurrection Sunday tomorrow. So enjoy whatever it is that you do, just to celebrate or commemorate, an amazing day. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it was always on that day, but the fact that at some point he rose again on our behalf.
Yeah.
So.
And let's say this real quick. My grandson found the Easter eggs yesterday.
Oh, Lord.
And he was trying to get me to open them up. I said, "No, they for Sunday." They didn't know. They for now. But so yeah, happy Resurrection Day, and to those, happy Easter. Enjoy it. Enjoy, most importantly, enjoy family. Love you guys. God bless you. And I say each and every week, if the Lord allows you to wake up tomorrow, make tomorrow your masterpiece. See you next week.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.